everyone, here we go again. We're on the 4th episode of the Gifts of Pure Consciousness. I'm your host, your guide, your companion, and your enlightened yogi, Utkarsh. Together, we are building something sacred, a conscious global community rooted in truth, awareness, and deep self-discovery. This isn't just a conversation, this is about transformation. This episode didn't come to me while I was researching or writing. I came up with this one in silence during a restorative deep stretch yoga class while my body was relaxed, nervous system calm, and my mind was still. It started with a simple thought, May the 4th, when one of my friends congratulated me for this initiative using the Star Wars reference and said, May the Force be with you. But what came through wasn't fiction, it was a profound connection. A connection to the fourth state of consciousness in yogic philosophy, which is also called Turiya. If you joined me for the last episode, I explored nervous system regulation, talked about how a balanced, calm state lets us transcend reactivity, fear, and survival mode, and how that presence, that stillness, is the gateway. Today, we step through it, but before we dive into Turiya, I want to address some deeper questions. Why am I doing this? Why talk about chakras, ego, meditation, and consciousness? Instead, we can talk about chasing status, possessions, success, and whatever other tools we need to achieve them. Some of you might also wonder, is this spiritual branding? Is there an agenda here? The answer is no. I'm not here to sell anything except maybe clarity. Because we are living in the middle of a global mental health crisis and no one talks about it. Most people are living one day at a time, lost and confused. With the transformation I have noticed in myself, I strongly believe that the root of the crisis isn't the chaos around us, it's the chaos within us. People are suffering, let's face it. But it's not because they are weak, but because they don't know what's possible. They haven't been shown the way inward. So today, let's explore not a belief, not a technique, but a state of being, Turiya, the fourth state of consciousness, beyond waking, beyond dreaming, beyond deep sleep, a state of pure, unshakable awareness. Let me illustrate this by showing you a short clip from the movie Doctor Strange. After you have watched it, I'll dive deeper into what it means to move beyond the intellect and into higher states of awareness.
You're a man looking at the world through a keyhole, and you've spent your whole life trying to widen that keyhole, to see more, to know more. And now, on hearing that it can be widened in ways you can't imagine, you reject the possibility.
No, I reject it because I do not believe in fairy tales about chakras or energy or the power of belief. There is no such thing as spirit. We are made of matter and nothing more. You're just another tiny, momentary speck within an indifferent universe.
You think too little of yourself.
Oh, you think you see through me, do you? Well, you don't. But I see through you. To me.
I pushed your astral form out of your physical form.
What's in that tea? Psilocybin? LSD?
It's just tea. With a little honey.
What just happened?
For a moment, you entered the astral dimension.
What?
A place where the soul exists apart from the body.
Why are you doing this to me?
To show you just how much you don't know.
Notice how at the end of the scene, Clea, the powerful sorceress from the Marvel universe, pushed the astral form out of physical form, indicating that we are much more than our superficial appearance. That's one of the reasons why I'm so curious about this subject. Also, in that video, what truly stands out is her presence, that calm, centered, zen-like stillness. That stillness isn't performance. It's not just acting, it's symbolic. It reflects exactly what I mean when I talk about peace, when I speak about becoming superhuman. I don't mean it in terms of power, but in terms of presence. It's the silent strength that arises from devotion, discipline, and a deep connection to a higher reality. This is what the fourth state of consciousness points toward. Not an escape from the world, but a state where you no longer feel the need to control it. To ground this mystical concept, consider a simple example. Consider Clea as an enlightened, conscious human who doesn't feel the need to constantly upgrade her lifestyle just to keep up with others, like buying the latest luxury car every year or living in a high-end apartment just for the status it brings. She could afford it, the bank is willing, the world rewards it, but she is not emotionally tied to it. Instead, she chooses simplicity, not out of lack, but from a place of inner sufficiency. And let me be clear, I'm not advertising being content with what you have. And I'm also not asking you to watch TV all day. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with enjoying comfort or financial abundance. This isn't about rejecting success or living in scarcity. The point I'm trying to make here is freedom from attachment. I'm talking about training the mind to calm down first, using proven techniques that are working for many people, but we all don't completely understand how it's happening. Here's my take on this. By the time someone has worked through the 3 Granthis, as we discussed in episode 2, their identity is no longer anchored in external validation. Their sense of self is rooted in deeper alignment with something greater. And that ultimately is what leads to Turiya, the fourth state of consciousness. Now let's dissect this further. How do we reach Turiya? First, let's talk about a key concept in yogic science, Vairagya, often mistranslated as detachment. Vairagya is basically much more nuanced. It's the inner maturity to stop chasing the highs and fearing the lows. It doesn't mean giving up on life. It means becoming free within life. It's the capacity to witness pleasure and pain, success and failure without being shaken. In this state, you no longer need life to go your way. And here's the secret. Vairagya isn't something you force. It's achieved through regular practices like transcendental meditation. When you devote yourself to a disciplined practice, this detachment unfolds naturally. You stop trying to escape the world and instead stop being enslaved by it. I first encountered the word Turiya while listening to Shiv Rudrashtakam. One line stood out, Nirakar Omkar Moolam Turiyam. Now let's unpack it. Nirakar, the formless, beyond identity. Omkara Moolam, the source of Om, the root vibration of the cosmos. Turiyam, the fourth state, the essence behind all appearances. Turiya isn't a poetic metaphor, it's real. Listen to the next few lines carefully. It will sound a little more mystical, but as always, I'll explain it in detail. Here it is. Chances are you have touched this fourth state before. In those moments when time disappeared, when breath felt eternal, when nothing was missing. That was you. Not a new you, the original you, before the roles, before the fears. A beautiful being when you were born. We don't achieve Turiya, we return to it. And maybe you've felt the opposite too. The racing mind, the shame loop, the overthinking, the comparison. Now imagine being able to pause that loop, not by running from it, but by going deeper. Science also has a name for this, physiological state. It's not waking, dreaming or sleeping. It's your brain in full coherence, your nervous system in harmony. Check out this image. On the left, it shows a typical brain in waking consciousness. And on the right, the same brain after 3 months of transcendental meditation. Integrated, calm and awake. Working in full coherence. This isn't spiritual poetry. This is neuroscience. You're not broken. You're not beyond healing. You just haven't been shown the mirror, the right mirror. And Turiya is that mirror. Now I understand these ancient teachings can feel overwhelming, especially when you're just trying to find peace in the chaos of modern life. I don't simply offer these as distant theories, I share them as lived experiences. In March this year, I attended a lecture by Dr. Gabor Mate And something he said struck me. He said, when a child is born, it is pure, whole, a perfect being. But as it grows, it absorbs pain from the home, from the environment, from the world, and trauma just becomes second nature. Every child learns to survive, but not necessarily how to truly flourish, because not every child is unconditionally loved. Parents carry their own unhealed wounds. Of course, healing from the past is a complex journey, but what I'm saying is it doesn't require us to fix the past. It requires us to be fully present in the now. At this point in your life, you can choose to become wiser, steadier, more conscious. You can learn to regulate your nervous system, as I always talk about it. So, my only advice is to stop living on emotional autopilot and rise into full human potential. That's why creating this series felt essential in 2025, a time when uncertainty constantly looms. It's not just about learning new things, but also about unlearning what no longer serves us. And that brings me to the heart of this work. Earlier, I spoke about the vision of building a global community, a conscious collective grounded in truth, discipline, and inner transformation. I know this path isn't for everyone. I'm simply speaking to the rare few who are genuinely ready to commit. Those who are not just curious but called. Called to live with intention, to practice devotion daily, and to choose inner alignment over external approval. Still, I believe these messages are worth sharing with anyone who is suffering, anyone navigating emotional distress, silently searching for answers. And I certainly don't claim to have all the answers, but I do know this: the journey towards higher consciousness is worth every step. There is a blissful stillness, a Zen like peace that cannot be explained, it can only be felt. And I believe we are going to see more people awakening to this need, more seekers, more teachers, more practitioners emerging, because people are tired. Tired of chasing, tired of pretending, tired of living someone else's version of success. Because what do you do when life stops making sense, when pain shows up uninvited, and no amount of planning seems to protect you from heartbreak or loss? Who do you talk to then? There's this rising feeling that no one truly cares about our mental health anymore. It's like the world is too busy extracting time, attention, money, as if those are the only currencies that matter. And somewhere along the way, we started equating money with happiness. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll always say this: money can absolutely improve your quality of life. Recently, I got to meet my family because money gave me the freedom to travel, to pause, and to reflect. It was important for me. But here's the question: when you return from that vacation, how do you feel? Are you energized and fulfilled, or you're already craving the next escape? Because if your daily routine feels heavy, uninspired, or meaningless, then the vacation isn't rest, it's a temporary distraction. And that cycle, earn, escape, repeat, is not what conscious living is about. And I say this because I know how precious our 24 hours are. Life isn't meant to feel like a burden, it should feel meaningful, even magical. That's why I pour so much energy into this work, to remind you it is possible. Now let's talk about hurdles to this possibility. There is a reason we don't connect with everyone we meet. Throughout life, we cross paths with different personality types. Some resonate, some repel. Sometimes the disconnect is so deep simply because they were wired differently. And science backed this up. Around 40 to 60% of certain personality traits, things like anxiousness, callousness, cognitive distortions, compulsivity, social avoidance, suspiciousness, are heritable. These traits don't just come from experience, they come from our genes. At birth, we are little more than the sum of our DNA and how it begins to express itself. Our brain, a physical object, becomes the seat of mental health and its disorders. You can't truly understand the mind without understanding the brain. And you can't understand the brain without acknowledging our genetics. Think of it like this: we are more like computers than televisions. A television has one fixed function, but a computer, it can become anything: a music player, a video editor, a calculator, a canvas. All it needs is the right software. We too can evolve endlessly, shaped by our conditioning, our environment, our beliefs, and our willingness to reprogram ourselves. That's what this series is all about. To offer a kind of spiritual software update, to plant the seeds of conscious thoughts that might help you navigate life with more clarity, more depth, and more peace. I've really enjoyed gathering the data, the insights, and the experiences that shaped this episode. My only hope is that it sparks something within you, even if it's just a question, because that question might just lead you to your next awakening. Before we close, I need you to reflect on these 3 questions. First, are you living at the surface of your mind? Second, are you beginning to touch the depths beneath thought? Third, can you hear the silence inside the noise? Difficult questions, right? There's no straight answer, but try this. Just 15 minutes a day, no expectations, no goals. Just sit, just breathe, just be. You can, of course, Google to find out how to do that, but I'm still going to share my 40-minute practice in the description of this video. If you're seriously looking to learn more about meditation, there are apps out there that can help you get started on the beginner level. Mine is a little too extreme, but you can still check it out to read the mantra benefits included at the start of all 4 mantras in that video. If you stay consistent with any of the practices, be it Zen meditation or mantra or anything of that sort, I guarantee day by day, week by week, your nervous system will begin to remember something ancient, your true nature, unshakable, fearless, whole. And I am by no means here to convince you. I'm just here to remind you. This path has changed my life. And if any part of this resonates with you, maybe, just maybe, it's meant to change yours too. Until next time, stay rooted, stay aware, and may the light of pure consciousness continue to guide you. Namaste.